So that's one thing. Are they credible? Do they talk about things that they know about? And are the things that they talk about relevant to what's important to you? Right? So there's compatibility in there as well. Then there's reliability. Does the person do what they say they're going to do? And if they don't do it, do they let you know that they're not going to do it? Right? Like when we look at this and apply it to like a dating circumstance.
Let me tell you about a woman who don't perform for the crowd. Who don't dress up her truth to make the room feel comfortable.
How's it going?
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
Very long weekend.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey. I can't put my arms up past here.
Oh, yeah.
That's as far as they go.
Yep. You had a camp this weekend?
I did. Super fun. As sadistic as that sounds, because we just got the sheet beat out of us. It was 8 hours of football in cold, in hot, and it was in Red Deer, Alberta. You get all kinds of different weather there.
Yeah, that's a place where the weather actually shifts itself before it goes one other direction. Yeah, that's
wild.
I'm
going north or south. I'm not sure yet, but it was good.
Yeah, I'm recovering. I went to a tech conference in Orlando last week, and it was just, I don't know, me and 20,000 of my closest friends. So, and then I got off the plane and my kid picked me up and we went to a convention. So another 15,000 of me and my closest friends. So this is my scars on my forehead are wig scars because I cosplayed. I don't care what anybody says. I'll be honest with you. It just it's fun. You get out there and these cosplay conventions are just full of diversity and really great people. And, the first year I went, I was like, cool, this is a cult. But it's actually, then you look around and you see everybody with so many different abilities. And, you've got kids who are in wheelchairs and walkers and canes and crutches. And then you have grandmas and you have parents and you have little kids dressed up as their favorite characters. And craziest, a friend of mine actually works the Oda Fest is what it was called. And she set up kind of like a meet chat on Instagram or whatever. And one of the guys that I worked with 25 years ago when I was going to school, because I worked at a Pizza Hut in South Calgary, came down and she wasn't able to make it because unfortunately her parents got sick. Her mom got pneumonia, which, sending all the good loving and vibes to her. But so I hung out with this guy that I haven't seen for 25 years. I was his shift manager at Pizza Hut back in the day when I was in college, just before I got married. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's such a small world.
It is totally. And so, you go there and you see so much I don't want to say inclusion. It's not. It's just people are there and there's no judgment. Thing. Yeah. And just respect for each other in terms of how it took them to get their cosplays together and things like that. So yeah, it was really cool. Really, really cool. Got to see some kids and friends that I don't get to see very often. And so
they're super talented people.
Unbelievable. And the, so I'm feeling pretty drained. I think it's 35,000 people and traveling and just it's just a lot of energy, right? And then you just stack that on top of world events and, all of the other dog shit that we're dealing with as humans. And it's it's a Monday.
Yeah, I'm tired.
But it's a good Monday because it's a Monday off work. So, hey, come on.
Victoria
Day here. Victoria Day here in Canada. Cheers to Victoria. Thanks for the day off. We appreciate you.
Don't know who she is. I'm just kidding.
No, I don't, literally.
I have to Google these things sometimes.
Me too.
Why are we getting this day off?
Yeah. I'm not complaining. I'm just a little curious. And, it reminds me of the story of so I was telling the story to a leader, a CIO that I was talking to at the conference. And I said, we do the things that we do as a society because we've always done them, right? In my world, I call those QWERTYs, right? So I'm going to tell you two stories. So the QWERTY keyboard, right? We all know what that is, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so you know how it came
Look
about.
down at your keyboard if you don't.
Yeah, look at your phone. So the QWERTY keyboard came about because back in the day, they were all alphabetical, and when they were sending telegrams, the women would be sitting there typing, and their keys would get stuck in the alphabetical order. And so some really smart engineers, bless an engineer, thank an engineer if you know one, went and took it away, and they put it into a cadence where when they were typing, their keys wouldn't get stuck. Great, we love this. How many times do your keys get stuck on this?
Yeah.
They don't.
Granted, I do misspell, so does that count as a stuck key?
No, I'm pretty sure that just is what we call the 6-inch problem. It's 6 inches from the screen.
Yeah.
So, we do the things that we've always done, but then we always think about like things like we find this repetition in the day, and we come to work and we do things and there's a culture, right? And so culture is built in such an interesting way. And so there's this study that was done, and they put a bunch of monkeys in an enclosure together, and they put a ladder in there, and at the top of the ladder, they hung a bushel of bananas. And so the monkeys were like, oh, yeah, bananas. And so they started running up trying to get these bananas. But every time they did that, they got sprayed with water. And so they were like, well, we don't particularly care for this a whole lot. So they stopped doing it. So then what happened was they thought, okay, well, let's see what happens if we put a new monkey in. So they took one of the legacy monkeys out and they put a new monkey in. And this monkey was like, oh, shit, yeah, bananas. And it starts running up the ladder. And all of the other monkeys grab it, pull it down, and beat the snot out of it. And it was like,
this is not what we do here.
Yeah, we do not eat those bananas.
Water.
Yeah, nope, this is not okay. I'm not getting. And so eventually what they did was they cycled all of the monkeys out that were originally there and sprayed with water. And they would insert a new monkey, take a legacy monkey out, insert it. And every single time the new monkey would come in, it would try and climb the ladder. The monkeys would beat the snot out of it. And eventually none of the legacy monkeys who actually got shot with water were in the enclosure, but yet they were still beating the snot out of any new monkey that would come in and try and
passes down.
It's culture.
Which is a crazy concept, but it's where we live.
So,
but it's easy to change your, not easy to change your culture, but it can be done. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you, Victoria. We don't know who you are, but we appreciate the day off to recover from conventions and football.
Yes. Someone will tell us eventually what that is for, but
well, the internet's
I'm pretty
great
sure
for
it was
that.
a queen. I think it was a queen.
Yeah. The internet's great for that. Somebody will tell us how stupid we are. So, and
the amount of shit I Google is kind of concerning sometimes.
Yeah, I'm so concerned. I don't want anybody to look at my Google history. I mean, the number of research projects I do on silly things like, why do fish have
I go down my
I'm
deep
kidding.
dives.
Oh, yeah?
I'll just Google a random fact sometimes and just see where it takes me. Like, if I'm going to be on my phone, then I want to learn something. So,
yeah.
Google, what do you got today?
Well, I learned that the world is a show right now, and, people are feeling it. They are feeling it right now. Let me tell you what, I've had a lot of folks reaching out. We've got some great listener questions today. But first off, we had some really good feedback on our debatable. So let's because it's a holiday Monday for us here in Canada, let's do a couple debatables, Josie.
Perfect. All right. Don't need to use my body for it. I'm good.
Don't need to use your body, just your brain, just your big, beautiful brain. Okay. So the best use of time travel, to see the future or to change the past?
Can you see the future, though, to change the present? Because I wouldn't with the past. There's way too many movies about, screwing that up. The past has happened for a reason, even if it's for some.
Yep.
I think I would go to the future, though. See, how much of a show it is and see what I can change in the present.
Yeah. I hate this question.
Yeah.
That's probably why I picked it. I was like, I'm going to be controversial. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like, changing the past, there's nothing that I would do in the past to change the past. I mean, it's, it is a piece of who we are. It's how we got to where we are. It's the lessons that we've learned to prepare us for the future. So I'd rather just be where my feet are and just kind of roll with it. All right, this is a good one. This is a really good one. Dealing with problems. See a therapist? Take up boxing.
That's
I know.
both of my favorite things there. Hitting things in a good way, controlled way, in a controlled environment. I don't want to sound like I go and hit people for fun. Oh, I do. I play
You actually,
football.
I was going to say, like, you actually do. You pay to do that.
I do pay to do that. I don't know. I think therapy is such a very, everyone needs therapy. Everyone needs a therapist. But there's the people like me that it is kind of therapy to do those kind of things too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of therapy. I think that like there's an element of grace that comes out of physical activity that helps you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's through the whole book, right? I mean, you pick a copy of this bad boy up and you're going to hear and see so much of that in there, the healthy lifestyle and the bodybuilding. Did I tell you about that? Actually, I was, I think I probably texted it to you, but I was in the locker room at one of the gyms that I go to, and a woman was in there, and she's another competitor in the bikini world. And I was wearing these really dope shoes that Erin got me. And so she commented on my shoes and I had my headset on. And so I was like, I paused it and I turned around to talk to her and I was like, oh, sorry, what was that? And when I turned, I don't know, maybe she just didn't realize that my legs were the size that they were. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, your legs. She says to me, like, what do you do for your legs? And I was like, I don't know, push really heavy weights and eat a lot of food. And so anyways, she was like, oh, are you competing this year? And I said to her, no. I said, I competed at Rising Phoenix last year. And she goes, oh, Rising Phoenix. She goes, I have a book in my Amazon cart with a Rising Phoenix on it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's neat. She goes, yeah, I found it on a bikini Reddit and it's got great reviews and it's got a lot of bodybuilding content and talks a lot about bodybuilding. And I was like, is it by chance called, I was like, is it by chance called Unbreakable? And she goes, yeah, that's the one. It's in my Amazon cart right now. And she's like, so you've heard of it? And I was like, I wrote it. I was like, actually, I wrote it. And she was like, she goes, can I give you a hug? Like, it was just the craziest thing because I was like, I don't think like we haven't been able to find any of those reviews, but like the reviews that are coming out have just been so strong. But yeah, so, there's a lot in here about bodybuilding. I'm not giving you secrets on how to do it well, but what I am talking about is how it benefits you. And so I thought that was really cool. That was really cool. That was one of those moments where I would have loved to have phoned my dad and been like, you're never going to believe this. Like he would have loved that.
Yeah. Well, he'll still hear it. It's okay.
He will. Yeah.
I did hear about the Reddit thread and have found, Unbreakable being talked about on that thread.
Mm-hmm.
Reddit is a whole different world that I am not adverse to. Usually I just go on there for tips on things that don't go on the regular internet. But something like that, obviously if that one person is getting it, it's being talked about in many places.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool. And, we have some really, really fantastic listeners in the United States. I've actually connected with a couple of our readers and, a couple of people who have become friends, right? In the past couple of weeks, people who we've met through the bodybuilding community and folks who are kind of going through their cycles and growing and things like that. And I'm super stoked to have those relationships because when it's people who are like-minded, and it's one of those things where when I come away from those conversations, things that are said in the conversation are, it's great to find my people. And I just, when you're like looking for the purpose of life and you're trying to find meaning and you're trying to find placement and where do I belong? And then you just happen to meet people along this journey. And, so yeah, it's been awesome lately. Just really, really good.
Yeah, so, a lot of people coming out and talking about it.
Yeah, and just I think forging relationships that are ones that I would consider to be long standing and that would, that are like soul feeding, right? And it's Yeah, I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful that the book has brought people to us and has allowed people to identify things for themselves or to kind of think about things in a different way. And, so I'm super grateful because those connections are really, really valuable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then if you want to leave a review, you can easily do so.
We love reviews. We've
We
got 5-star
do.
reviews. We've got 5-star reviews wherever, like on Goodreads and on
And
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah, we'd love to have more of those. So if you're reading the book and you're ordering it off of Amazon, we'd love to hear from you. Doesn't need to be, exposing yourself or anything like that. Hey, heck,
Yeah,
I'm happy
write
with
a
just
sentence.
5 stars. Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do it all the time.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I don't. I'm like the novel writer. I'm like, when I went into this place, but only if the experience is worth writing about. You have to wow me. You have to wow me or really piss me off for me to leave like the novel.
I just click the stars. I'm like, unless it's a really good product or something, I'm like, okay, I actually have to talk about this. Let me just give you my 2 sentences, and then I'm good for like 3 years for another review.
Absolutely. If you look at my Google reviews, they're fantastic. And they're all over the world because it's like Google, when you go out into the real world, people use the Google reviews like ridiculously, particularly in Europe and Asia. So like, and so it's like, I always rely on those kinds of things. But then there's sometimes where I'm like, it was just not worth my time to even review it, or it was fine. But then, then sometimes it's worth it.
That's true.
Okay. I got 2 more debatables and then we'll dive into a couple listener questions. We got some good ones for today. Okay. The worst office sin: microwaving fish or cutting your fingernails? Both of those are nasty as shit.
Yeah, they're both nasty. And as much as I love seafood, I think it's actually the microwaving fish, because it's a smell that just doesn't go away.
Just hangs there. Absolutely. Like, I would say that microwaving fish, because that's the stuff that just hangs in the air and then you leave the office and then you smell like fish. And like,
it's different when you're home.
Is it though? Like, I mean, I am so sensitive to food smells. Erin will go to make bacon and she bakes it in the oven, and I can't stand the smell of bacon, and I don't like it really. And I know people are going to come at me for that, but
how dare you?
How dare you not want to eat the fat of another animal with a strip of meat?
Exactly.
My bad. When we were little, my dad, when we had extra money, my dad would go and buy like the full pound pack of bacon, and he would just open her up and throw it in the griddle, like, the plug-in. Yeah. And then he would do that, and then he would drain the bacon fat off, and everything in my childhood was fried
like bacon.
Because he kept it in a like a coffee can.
In the jar.
No, it was an old tobacco tin, and he would seal it up and he would put it in the fridge. And so
ours would be mason jars.
So I literally wandered around as a child, not only with incessant diarrhea because I ate way too much fat, but also with like gastric discomfort my whole life, but also smelling like an ashtray and bacon, like bacon and cigarettes. I'd go to my neighbor's house and she'd be like, "You smell like an ashtray." And I was like, "Well, that's really rude because I don't smoke." And she's like,
"Yeah,
I
just eat it."
Yeah. So I just eat everything in bacon. So in our house, I close the bedroom, I close my office, I close the basement, like anywhere where I have to go and be. And then I take anything that's mine that has like fabric and I move it. And I'm very blatant about it. And Erin's she's so like, whatever. I'm like, or I'll be sitting and somebody will be cooking in the kitchen and I'll be like, "Do you have the window open and the fan on?" And they're like, "No." "Could you please? Thank you." I do not like smelling like food. It just...
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's what I don't miss about working in a restaurant too, is just not just the fryers, if there was fryers in restaurants that I worked in, it's just all the food. But where we live, the kitchen actually is just like a little strip like this. And we have this big patio door. So we just whip open the door, turn on the fan, and food smell doesn't actually stay in the house.
Fantastic.
Baking smell, though, I do make sure it stays in the house. I want that aroma.
Yeah, that's different. It's less offensive. But I mean, you're not married to a Ukrainian, Polish, German who just loves to eat the stinkiest fermented shit. Like, honest to God, like she'll like her cabbage rolls. Like it's a full day long process. And so then the whole house, it smells like bacon and pork. Awful. Just awful. And then the other one is a pescatarian. And so it's just like, she doesn't make a lot of fish, but she makes a lot of that like non-meat meat. And so, and she loves the garlic and onion powder because she's her grandfather's granddaughter. And I'm just like, you people, and I'm like, can I just have some boiled chicken and some frozen vegetables mixed together and maybe a toasted bagel? Like,
yeah, nice and simple.
Yeah. They don't like the smell of my cold chicken, though. They're like, it smells like farts. And I'm like, whatever. I see what you people eat.
Maybe it does.
No, it does. It's not good.
I don't think it does.
When you first open her up,
okay, yeah. Especially if it's in Tupperware, yeah. The crack.
Not good.
Okay, I do know that smell. Doesn't smell that great, but
the dogs love it. They're like, all right.
Yeah, the dogs love smelliest. Whatever you can get the smelliest of, they're like, give me more of that.
Yeah, those little rats.
I smell dog treats. They're gross.
I know, they're terrible. Look at this. I'm trying to keep my scars hidden. It's not working. Okay, last one. And I picked this one. I kind of know which one we're probably going to go with, but I thought it was hilarious. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll versus video games, beef jerky, and sitting.
I mean, I'm going to say no to the drugs because 6 years in recovery is coming up. So
on the 18th of June?
16th.
16th.
So, no, 18th. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
June 18th.
I'm right. I don't forget. Like
damn, that's impressive.
Steel trap. Read it once. Yeah. Okay.
But I got to go to the video games and stuff. So.
Well, I'm not a big fan of video games, but beef jerky and sitting, I could totally get on board with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Video games,
I like all three.
Of course you do.
If I get up once an hour, I don't actually like sitting for long periods of time because I think the ADHD or the just needing to move kicks in. But if I get up once an hour, I'm usually pretty good. Yeah.
Perfect. I like it. Okay, so I've got some really crazy good questions that have come in. And so let's see here. Let's pick a good one. I think, this is a good one. This one is about betrayal and coming back from betrayal. And I think that this is a great one. This is basically, I'll read the question and then we'll come around to it. So, I've been lied to, cheated on, manipulated, and disappointed in my life. And I struggle to trust people. How do I stop expecting the worst from everyone? So this is really hard. About trust and betrayal. And so when we think about this, I mean, gosh, Unbreakable has so much in here because I think that, this touches on several areas. And, it's, again, we come back to the neurology, right? And so when I think about it from a neurological perspective, as we always say, our brain is just a 3-pound piece of meat inside of our cranium. And so it doesn't know anything other than what we feel. And it's so crazy. I've had this conversation around neurology and like kind of changing our thought patterns several times this week alone. And so I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that you can't live a really good, healthy life thinking nobody can be trusted because it's not true. Right.
But we are thinking the worst of everything.
Absolutely. I mean, well, because that's what you're going to focus your reticular activating system on. And if that's what you're going to do, then that's what you're going to get because your brain is going to filter anything out that validates the opposite of that. Right. So there's a couple of things that go on here. And so we have, through a lot of our work and our research, of course, we have the trust equation. And so we'll put maybe like an equation up on the screen post-production or something, Josie.
I already have one.
Look at that. Look at you, Pikachu. So with that, what we have is a couple of elements. And so element one is credibility. Is that person credible? Do they know what they're talking about? Does your low road, your gut go off when they're talking? And do you think like this feels maybe a little too good to be true? And I don't actually think that this person is who they say they are. If that's the case, in a lot of instances, you're probably right. We don't listen to our gut. There's one story in Unbreakable where I went against my gut in a business move and ended up working for this really awful company. And I should have listened to my gut. And how many times do you say that to yourself? Right.
Yeah.
So credibility, like just because somebody has a degree and just because somebody has like an MBA or they've worked at a certain business, it does not make them credible. It doesn't. People can write tests really well. There are some people who are just like fantastic at that stuff, right? So that's one thing. Are they credible? Do they talk about things that they know about? And are the things that they talk about relevant to what's important to you? Right? So there's compatibility in there as well. Then there's reliability. Does the person do what they say they're going to do? And if they don't do it, do they let you know that they're not going to do it, right? Like when we look at this and apply it to like a dating circumstance, one of the things that we see a lot of is ghosting, which is it's such a bullshit, weak-minded thing to do. It's weak.
It's a cop-out.
Ghosting is weak. It is, if you're a ghoster, you're weak as fuck, period, full stop. And if you want to work on that, you should reach out through the website and we can definitely get you some support and help with that. Yeah, we got you covered. Because I just think like, if you're not brave enough to have a conversation with somebody to say, actually, you know what, you're not my type, or I really enjoyed that date, but I don't want to see you again. Like, this is life, guys. This is life. It's the hard
a simple conversation. It's hard, but it's simple.
Absolutely.
It could be a couple words and that's it.
Absolutely.
Just don't ghost people. Don't be a dick.
And the other thing is too, is that no means no. If somebody says to you, I don't want to talk to you anymore, or this didn't work for me, buzz off. Like, don't continue to text and be like hanging on to, come on, stop that shit, right? So credibility plus reliability. So are they credible? Are they reliable? Now, listen, it's not to suggest that everyone's always going to deliver everything that they say they're going to deliver. Right? Because, I know I live a very, very busy lifestyle. And sometimes I have to text somebody and say, hey, I told you I was going to do that this time, but I have other things that have come up. Right?
Exactly.
And so when you're not a dick and you communicate effectively and you speak your needs and you speak what you can and can't fulfill, credibility and reliability, they're there. Right?
Exactly.
So the last one is emotional connection. And I think, so when we think about it, credibility plus reliability plus emotional connection, if you have all three of those things with somebody, then you can start to trust them. Now, emotional connection is very, very different, right? And when I talk about emotional connection, it's not just, I know your dog's name, I know that you have 2 kids, I know whatever, right? What it means is, it means that I've taken the time to understand what's important to you, or I've connected with you and I've shown you that I'm here. Now, all of this must be valued over your own self-orientation. And here I think is where a lot of the problem is people are so self-serving that their emotional connection is very vapid and very shallow. And so, or they have an alternative agenda. And so I often say to people when I'm doing workshops is, everybody should have an agenda. You wake up out of bed in the morning, you should have an agenda. You shouldn't have a hidden agenda. Just say what your needs are. And if you don't think that this relationship is going to provide your needs, then it's probably not the right relationship.
Exactly.
But I want to hit the pause button on emotional connection for a second, because through Unbreakable, I've developed a completely different model that actually, with emotional connection, has a completely different way of how we show up. And so I've actually got a tool that helps you build your skill around emotional connection. And I'm going to be really happy to have that on the website pretty soon. I'm not going to give it away, but it's going to help you be able to rationalize how you do that better. And so basically the skill comes down to your ability to provide psychological safety for someone. It provides the space for someone to be authentically themselves and either be accepted or told, hey, you know what, that's just not what I want. Resonance. And I think that that's a piece where people don't fully understand, is that when I sit with somebody, it's not about me. It's never about me. I am there as a facilitator for people to improve in whatever way they want. And so when we think about a relationship, like I have a very broad network. I have a global network. I have people who trust me deeply. Right?
You're not kidding.
And yeah, I know you're like trying to book the podcasts across
Yeah,
time
like
zones.
how many more thousands of people do you know?
Yes. Well, when you're a connector, and so like, I mean, like I've been with, I go to work, I'll be with partners and people will get on an elevator with us and we will know their entire life story before we get to the 20th floor of a building. And it's like, people are like, you just said good morning, right? But hey, when you can be present with people, they get that, right? And so
Exactly.
it's like I said, it's not about me. When I go out, and this is one of the things why you and I are taking as much time as we are, and we'll talk a little bit about one of our unbreakable athletes today, but to really release the stories, because I don't want it to appear self-serving. It's not about what we're doing. It's about what they're doing and why they're unbreakable. I want to amplify their stories, not ours.
Yeah. And their stories are crazy. They're
crazy.
great.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So again, like, okay, so coming back to it, when we build trust, it is a multitude of things, but I want to really highlight the one thing here that I think people have forgotten. Establishing trust and having a relationship takes time.
Yes.
There's delayed gratification. Just because you click with somebody and you feel good about the initial conversation does not mean that they are good people. And let me give you a story. I'll tell you a story about this. So when I first moved to Calgary, I want to say it was my second time down here. And it was just after I had gotten off of the streets. So I've been homeless for a period of time. And I was taking the C train. And this guy sat across from me and we struck up a conversation and we started, chit-chatting a little bit. And we were like, hey, you know what? If we see each other, we see each other. Let's grab coffee again. Right. So it was like the early 2000s, I want to say, or even, the very, very early 2000s. And so like cell phones were kind of a thing, but texting wasn't. And so you could call somebody, but whatever. So turns out this guy's on the C train the next day. And so I'm like, okay, let's go grab a coffee. So we grab a coffee and I'm kind of like my retrospect now, especially as like a fully mature adult, because I think at the time I was like 20, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I look back and I'm like, the red flags were abundant.
Everywhere.
Abundant. Yeah. I mean, the prison tattoos really should have given it away. But, he had a really nice cologne on that was really, really expensive. And he was a really nice guy and whatever. So we went and we sat and we had coffee. And as we're having coffee, we're kind of getting to know each other. And there's nothing like, no undercurrent to this, but it's just kind of like two young people having a cup of coffee, hanging out. And then so we exchanged phone numbers and we decided we would get together again. And so we did. And as we start progressing down this conversation, he starts telling me like, I said to him something about the fact that I was selling a laptop and he was like, oh, I'm looking to buy a laptop. And he's like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he goes, yeah. So, maybe what I could do is I could buy that laptop. So this was like where it was more of a networking thing. There wasn't like an undercurrent of, relationship, whatever.
Right.
But we were certainly, I think there was attraction there, but it was not something that I was willing to move on because of the fact that he had some sketchy tattoos and stuff. So I think my low road was kind of going off because I was like, well, I should probably kind of stay arm's length from this. I just came off the streets, like whatever. So I was a little tentative, but I was like, oh yeah. So thinking about this business deal, I'm going to offload this laptop and I'll be able to buy a new one. And he says, yeah, it's for my ex so that my kids have a computer. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So he goes and I said, well, talk to your ex and see if it's what she wants. And I give him the, kind of the background of what the computer is, right? So it's one of those like boat anchors, you're carrying it on your shoulder and you're like this because it was back in the day. So I got to be honest, you guys, this is the first time I've ever told this story, like ever to anybody. Because it's so embarrassing to me. So he comes back, we meet together, the same thing. And he was like, yeah, so my ex, she wants this laptop and she's willing to pay you the $500 for it. And I was like, that's great. And so he goes, she wrote you a check because back in the day, that's what you did.
Checks were still a thing.
It was cash or it was check. There was no e-transfer or anything back then, which is crazy to me now, actually thinking about it. So he comes and he meets me and he gives me this check, and for all intents and purposes, the check looks fine. I feel okay about the transaction. My gut's kind of like ding, 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 ding. And I hand
Verify that first.
I hand this man the computer. We have a coffee and he gets on the train and he is never to be seen again. He does not answer my phone calls again. Oh, and the check bounces.
Of course it did.
So the bank gives me, I went to go validate it at her banking institution, and it didn't come back as positive. Like, they were like, yeah, no, there's no money in this bank account. We can't cash this check. You won't be able to cash it. And I was just like, shit. So, of course, your full information used to be on a check, your address, your phone number, but it was very evident to me, being the daughter of a corrections officer. Now my wheels are turning. So I phone this woman on the check. I phone her, and she goes, he and I do not speak. He is delinquent on all of his maintenance payments for our children. And I have not received the laptop, and you are not getting any money because A, I don't have any money, and B, I don't have a laptop, and C, he's a piece of shit. And so just because you forge a connection with somebody, even having that dialogue and putting yourself in that situation,
the hidden agenda.
The hidden agenda. And it was, he was a criminal. And so, hence all the jailhouse tattoos. Yeah.
The first red flag. I don't know.
Listen to your gut, schmutt. Like, whatever, right? And so it's just, so when we think about how we create those connections to people, you have to put time and recognize that building relationships is actually delayed gratification. And I think that because we are a dopamine-based society, because of our addiction to instant gratification and social media and likes and all of that, you have to learn how to detach yourself from that first.
Yeah. Bridge isn't built by just one step.
No. And frankly, I remember I was at an event one time, and I heard this girl say this, and I think it is so powerful. How could you possibly expect somebody else to love you when you don't even love yourself?
Yeah, that's a hard-hitting one.
Right? And I think that a lot of people, we look for that external validation from other people. And what do we say on this show? What do I say in life? Validation is for parking. It is not for people. Right? So my feedback to you here is this, recognize your patterns, right? Recognize the things that make you feel uncomfortable when somebody starts to interact with you. Recognize your attachment style. When somebody gives you attention, do you instantly feel like a flower in the sun and you're like, oh, this is so great? Wait a minute.
Or do you do what I do and want to run the other way? Avoidant is what I am. And I know that about myself, but that also took years of learning that about myself. Like, why do I run in the other direction when these things happen? But I was able to foster really great relationships by finding that out. I'm like, okay, how about you tap the brakes on your compliments and stuff like that? Just sprinkle them instead of smother me with them. And then I will come out of my little cave and we'll end up being great friends. And that's what happens.
Absolutely. Well, but we're also in a space where love bombing is a real thing, right?
Yes. And I have been love bombed, and it's destroyed a good part of my life. So I think, yeah, like you said, it's an instant red flag for me, even if it's good intentioned.
Yep.
Like, sprinkle your love. It's like, okay, am I being love bombed, or is this actually who this person is? And that's the trusting thing.
That's exactly it. And I think that, frankly, people can attach very quickly. I experience it quite often, and it's because I'm a kind person. People oftentimes mistake my kindness for two things. One is weakness, which it is not. No. I'm not a weak person. Come at me, bro.
Let me just,
but so I'm not a weak person. And the other side of it is people will see that kindness as an invitation to perhaps overstep boundaries. And so I think that looking into who you are and being able to kind of peel back the layers, hit the pause button. That's one of my themes from the past week, working with one of my athletes, is when you feel that emotional dysregulation, because that's what it is. Emotional regulation is not just I feel angry. Anger is like one emotion of like 100, right?
Yeah.
And so when you feel adoration, when you feel, stars in your eyes, when you're feeling that really big swell of somebody really being attracted to you and really liking you and they're giving you all these compliments and stuff like that, love bombing to me is, it's very uncomfortable and it actually turns me off like so fast, because for me, that's a trigger.
Yeah. 110%.
Yeah.
I would get love bombed and then thrown in my room and grounded for 2 months at a time. So
mm-hmm.
Of course I'm going to associate with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's some tips there. And the other thing is that healed people don't rush trust because there's no expiration on a good relationship, right? Relationships aren't like milk, right?
Yeah.
They're not dairy, right? And so if you think about a relationship as putting a seed in a ground, how fast does a plant grow?
Very fast, unless it's my chamomile.
I know. Or my pearl. I'll have to send a picture of my pearl. She's beautiful. Ooh. I found her somebody had put her on a windowsill and then closed the blinds and this poor little thing was just dying. So I've rescued her. I'm going to repot her today. Cause she needs more space because I've done so good at nurturing her. But so you plant a seed and then what happens if you water that seed and you keep it in sunlight and you put plant food on it? What happens? The effort of your desire to see bloom brings something comes up through the thing, right? So think about and visualize how you can bring relationships to life by using like the germination process and how you grow plants, and think about taking those relationships in stages of how you nurture, how you nourish, and how you actually build those elements and those seeds of credibility, reliability, and emotional connection. And again, if your emotional connection comes overnight and you are finding yourselves obsessed, I mean, like, good God, just go watch 90 Day Fiancé. If you want to see what not to do, just go watch 90 Day Fiancé on TLC. Because every red flag in the world is showing, and their desire to be loved and cared for, needed and nurtured is so overwhelming to these people that they're willing to completely destroy their lives and those of their partners just for that one feeling where you have one moment in the week where you're not, being absolutely ignorant with one another.
You mentioned the whole garden thing. I read a few books actually that, talk about what was planted in our gardens when we didn't have control of that.
Yeah.
I think the whole trust thing is, yes, you do have to plant, but you also have to weed out all of those things that were planted in there.
Yes.
And we had no control over that. When we're kids, we learn what we do because of what gets planted in our garden. Our bodies are too big, our breasts are too small, or we talk too much, we're not smart enough. These are all things that get planted in there. Or if someone is showing you affection, then you must bow down to them and do whatever they want. All of those things can be weeded out before you plant new things in. So, pick the things that kind of took over your garden. I had a lot of them. I had a lot of weeding to do. I still have a lot of weeding to do.
Yeah.
But I'm planting those nice little things in there that are, fostering my relationships. I know it takes time. I know it takes plant food. I know it takes water. Sometimes it likes the shade. Sometimes it likes the sun. It's kind of all over the place, but you learn as you go. And like you said, it just takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And if it does, it's probably a weed.
Yes. Well, and here's the other thing is that in some cases, in order for you to actually have a healthy garden, before you start planting seeds, you must go and weed that garden. And that I think is the piece that,
soil.
But this is the thing, pull all that shit out, feel it, look at it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Lord have mercy, the thistles I pulled out of my garden. And, the other thing is that when we think about a lack of trust, in some cases, some of us are succulents and we like a little bit of attention. And then it's like, leave me alone and let me do my thing. No, I don't want so much water. I do not want all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just chill.
But that's boundaries, right? Like when you think about it, think about the kind of plant you actually are and what you want to be surrounded with. But again, it comes down to the fact that you do not want to dive in looking for instant gratification. Just because you weed the garden over here doesn't mean that shit's not still going to pop up. Have you met a dandelion? I have a neighbor who has the field of dreams next to my house. And I just go out and I just pop the heads off of these little bastards everywhere they go, because it's like, I just, so.
Unless you're getting down to the root, you're not getting rid of them.
And even then, there's always somebody who has the field of dreams. I live in the country, right? And so, I mean, like, you think about that. So it also, I mean, I can't pick my neighbors, but you can pick your friends. And if you have friends who are planting seeds of negativity and weeds in your garden, you need to make a change. And there's a whole section in this book about those boundaries and how you make them, and yeah. Oh, that was a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you, listener. Okay, so okay. So the one that came up really, there's actually a couple, but I think we only have time for one. But what I want to do is we'll bring some of these questions back in our next pod.
Yes.
So this one is between layoffs. This one is really intense, actually. Between layoffs, shootings, politics, financial pressure, global events, and social media, I feel emotionally exhausted all the time. How are you always so hopeful? I love this question.
I step away from media when it gets to be too much. I make sure I'm not opening Instagram or Facebook, even Google, because Google, shows you whatever you talk about around, this thing.
The talk box.
It picks up. Yeah. I don't open my main Google page because I don't want to see the articles. And the curiosity in me is like, oh, well, I'll click on it. But
don't you?
Yeah. But I just kind of put that away. I need to step away from that when I know I'm getting overwhelmed with things I can't change, things I can't help. I am a very empathetic person. So I feel emotions even through a screen. I can, the way that people's body language is on a screen, I can feel for them. I step away. Like, no, I'm good. I don't need to do anything digital or have to research anything because I just can't take it. And it's not turning a blind eye to it. Like I still care. I still would like to change things. It's just emotionally, I can't handle it some days.
Yeah.
And I know when to walk away and just not
engage. But, yeah. That reminds me of the Kenny Rogers song. You gotta know. You gotta know when to hold them, right?
Gotta know when to fold them too.
And you got to know when to walk away. And I think that this is profound. And I think I was feeling the burden and the weight of the world a couple of weeks ago. And as an executive, I mean, there's so many different pieces, right? And so it's the hats that we wear in life, right? And, who are you outside of the hats and the roles and the things that you have to participate in life with? So I think there's layers to this question. I think that the first layer, of course, is manage what you consume. Right? I mean, that's the number one thing is you have the choice whether to pick this thing up and work with it or not. And I think that when we succumb to that instant gratification or that boredom, and now for me, like I will not pick it up first thing in the morning. I allow myself to have quiet wake up time. I let the natural daylight hit my eyes first. So I do things to feed my natural circadian rhythm before I go into that. Because if you are starting your day consuming all of the dog shit that's going on in the world, I mean, you're asking
that's what
to
the
be
rest
depressed.
of your day is going to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it also like I found before I really created this disciplined approach, what I was finding was I would carry some of that, like some of that emotion or that heaviness into the day, or I would feel that anxiety as I was kind of moving through. So that's the first thing, is start your day with something less disruptive to your brain. Don't give cortisol a reason to spike. The second piece is, certainly staying away from it, right? So for me, I allow myself to go on social media pretty much when I'm on airplanes and when I'm doing cardio. And, admittedly, this weekend I had some downtime, and so I scrolled a little bit, but I remember actually on Saturday night saying, well, that's enough of that bullshit. And I put my phone down and I was like, well, I'm going to watch Family Feud or Saturday Night Live or something to really give me some distraction.
Decompression almost.
Yeah. And so I think there's two things, and I know exactly what you're touching on when it's like, it's not that I don't want to support the cause, it's just that I need to have a break. And this is where I think we find the division between I have to be a social activist and have my voice lent to this. We're at a time where I think we've been beaten down so badly by the nonsense that we've seen in the geopolitical and the global space that turning it off feels good, but it also is anxiety provoking because it feels like, I feel like we're helping these regimes achieve their goal of beating us down. It's a tactic, right?
Yeah.
Certainly understood and appreciated. Then I tell myself, what fight is mine? Right? And I can have and lend my voice in ways that are not going to harm my mental health and well-being. And so it's finding those spaces. The second thing is, so put your phone down. Don't pick it up when you wake up in the morning. The second one is move your body.
Yes.
Move your body. Get out and go for a walk. I feel like picking my phone up and scrolling. Get out for a walk. And I want you to find 5 things that are amazing to you. And if you can't look at a bumblebee and think, holy shit, that's amazing, all I have to say is, what's wrong with you? Be more present.
Yeah. Do you not see their cute little bums?
When they're sleeping in flowers?
Oh my God.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Or if you can't get out and appreciate the birds flying in the sky, or you can't appreciate the fact that the sky is blue and that you have, find those moments where you can disconnect and find gratitude in something. Right?
Yeah.
The attitude of gratitude is so powerful because what it does is it brings you into a space where you're feeling something different, where you're nourishing your body in a really good space, right? And the other thing is, get a hobby. Do something. Do something. You could, get out and find a hobby, find a book club, meet a friend. Just don't lay around and doom scroll. And the chances of you feeling that kind of burden sitting on your shoulders will go away. Right?
I agree.
And it's just, you have to be picky. Time is the only thing you can't get back. How many hours of Netflix and scrolling? Wow, what a well-lived life. You know why I was able to write a book? Because I didn't sit and watch Netflix and scroll. Probably because I have the attention span of a fruit fly and I'm like a kitten in a yarn factory. But it's like, you go out and just experience life. People say to me all the time, they're like, you have a story for everything. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of do.
Because you go out.
And I do things and I meet people and I ask people how they are and I learn about others. And I'm kind of like Elf. I spread joy wherever I go because why not?
Exactly. Doesn't cost us anything.
No.
It's actually
free.
harder to be a dick than it
I
is
agree.
to just be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exhausting.
Could you imagine?
I lived a good part of my life. Well, not a good part. A few years where I was just like, screw everything. I'm just going to be a big old bitch. But that was exhausting. Big old bitch.
It's exhausting because it's like you're plotting your next move and you're looking over your shoulder constantly and you're like, when's the next shoe going to drop? But boy, did I ever serve them.
Yeah. It got me nowhere.
Yay.
I learned quick.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, you literally are in control of everything you consume. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed by school shootings, if you're feeling overwhelmed by geopolitical events, if you're feeling overwhelmed by, the economy, all of those different things, those feelings are valid. Don't take this the wrong way. I need to say that. That's the buzzword, right? Your feelings are valid. It's actually true. They are. However, you have the ability to either accept them as they are or change your perception and your perspective. And I think that when it all comes down to it, you also need to ask yourself one threshold question. what can I control? And in all of those things that are stressing you out, you know what you can control? How much you consume and what your reaction is.
Exactly.
How much time do you spend debating this on Facebook or Instagram with people? There is one
Don't
thing
be a keyboard warrior.
You will never see me having a conversation with somebody online to defend my position. Like, what?
Yeah, same.
Scram. I got no time for that, because you know what? Time is the only thing we can't get back, and I am not wasting it on some douche canoe on the internet.
Yeah.
Who's just sitting there deliberately trying to be inflammatory. And when I see people take that bait, I'm like, how much time do you have in your life? That's crazy.
Too much time. Get a hobby.
Yeah. Get a hobby, get a sport, find a friend, walk a dog, take care of a senior citizen neighbor, go pick dandelions, do something other than just consume from the old tack box, because nothing good comes from that when you're spending all of that time just scrolling. And the other thing is, you just need to remember that comparison is the thief of joy. And what I find, particularly with our little Gen Zers, is that they feel like they're on this timeline of life delivery. And it's like, this little
gotta
roadmap.
Get it done now.
Yeah.
Or
like
it's never going to get done.
By the time I'm 28, I should have a degree and a husband and a baby. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Where does all these timelines come from? I get, at least in my generation, it was like, oh yeah, people were married and had their first kid by like 22. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be 36 and I'm only planning my family now.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It is.
But
it is.
It took me a little bit to be okay with that, because I'm like, oh, I'm over 25. Like, this is it. Can't have a family now.
Yeah.
I'm like, and went to the doctor, found out I'm healthy and my eggs are dead. I'm like, okay, so after 25 isn't bad? And they're like, I know women in their like late 40s that are still able to have kids. So I don't know what you're going on about. And, what do you know? You're a doctor.
Yeah. Stop it. You only went to school for 900 years. Well,
yeah, exactly.
And I think the other thing is, I remind people of this all the time, is like, nobody's getting out of this alive, and it's not a competition. And I mean, honestly, like, I want to be on Forbes 30 under 30. Like, okay, that's a goal for you. Cool. You're going to break your neck to get there or not.
Yeah.
And like, whatever, it is what it is. Everybody wants to be a high achiever because they're going to be an influencer. And like, all of my sayings are going through my head right now. Right. So, great. You want to be an influencer. You want to, show people how smart you are. That's great. How are you going to impact people's lives? How are you going to change the way that people show up and how they feel about themselves, and like, what are you putting into the world is really
impact over influence.
I'm here for impact, not influence. And, I mean, also validation is for parking. That one comes up again and again and again. And the last one is the journey is the destination. There is no end game to this. There's no end game. And I mean, well, there is. But between now and the end game, it's like, just enjoy the journey. See where you are, be where your feet are, and find a way to be present in what it is that you're doing. Be intentional in what you're doing. The reason you are so anxious about world events and the things that are going on around you is because you're consuming too much and you're not present enough. If you want to do something good in the world, if you want to be that light in the world, be the change. But being the change doesn't happen on the internet. I don't care what anybody says. You can go and have 500 followers, 500 million followers, and that's all well and fine. But what are you actually doing?
Yeah.
What are you providing the world, right? It's like, listen, I'm going to be gratuitous for a second. I am out in the world all the time. I have been since I was a young child. I do not have a massive following on my private social media. I don't even have a massive following on my book social media. And that's okay, because it's not about that. The social media is one aspect of this movement that I've created together with you. And so when I look at that, I have people, I met up with a guy this weekend, like I said at the beginning, 25 years ago.
Yeah. Insane.
We've crossed paths. The fact that I met somebody and led somebody 25 years ago, and he felt compelled to want to come and hang out and reintroduce and kind of get to know each other and share life stories, that alone tells you how deep the relationships are that I create with people. 25 years. And that person was like, yes, I would like to hang out with her.
Yeah.
Come on. That's cool.
Exactly. That's what leaving your little legacy is like.
That's right. What do you leave behind? You're not taking anything with you. Because like we say, I've never seen a hearse being followed by a U-Haul before.
Most of my stuff's donated anyways. Hopefully if it's still good by then.
I know.
Good luck to whoever gets it.
Yeah. Have my things.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fantastic conversation, and I'm just grateful that we were able to get together this week. And, you know, let's mush on, people. Let's mush on. Pull your socks up. It's the beginning of a new week. Take the time and invest it in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, you sharpen your own personal self-love and your own personal skills. Everything that you do follows outside of that.
Agree.
And mic drop. Boom. All right, guys, remember, protect your peace, chase your dreams, and stay unbreakable.
Meaning no camera rolling, no caption for the gram, no, just the real one doing work that the fake ones can't handle. Yeah, you see the difference, that's the difference, that's the difference. They want you filtered, polished, pretty for the beat, she shows up uncut.